You're listening to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. Our show provides listeners with an insider perspective of Texas A&M athletics and its greatest supporters. This podcast will bring you exclusive interviews with coaches, athletes, donors, and the dedicated staff of Aggie Athletics and the 12th Man Foundation. You ready? Let's dive into today's episode. Howdy and welcome back to Answering the Call. I'm your host, Ivy Robinson, and today I am joined by Texas A&M volleyball libero, Ava Underwood. Ava, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this.
It's going to be a great conversation.
Oh, for sure.
We're excited to have you on the show. And Ava, just to start, can you tell our listeners about your background?
Yeah, so my background, I'm a second generation Aggie. My dad went to A&M, so as you can imagine, I have grown up coming to A&M football games, spending a lot of time in College Station, and just really embracing everything to be an Aggie. It's just what I've been raised on, and I truly do believe there's no place like College Station and like Texas A&M, and so growing up an Aggie, I am from Fulshear, Texas. It's a small town outside of Houston. Super, super small town. It's actually growing a lot right now because everyone from Katy is moving out to Fulshear. But I went there. I have a younger brother who is 2 years younger than me. So we're super close, which is great. And he's getting ready to apply to schools and hopefully come here. So that's super exciting. And my parents are amazing. Dave and Lori Underwood. They are just the best and have always supported me in whatever I do. So that's kind of background on my family. Volleyball, of course, has been a huge part of my life. I was actually a part of, in 2019, I won a state championship at my high school. In the same year, I won a national championship. So, yeah, that's just kind of background on me. I mean, of course, volleyball has been a huge part of my life, but I grew up playing everything. I mean, played everything under the sun. Super active kid. I was a big-time soccer player for a long time. Used to come to A&M soccer camp and all those kind of things. So basically, moral of the story is I just have grown up loving the school. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Incredible. So second generation Aggie. Also know that Logan Lednicki is a second generation. No, she's a fourth generation Aggie. Excuse me, fourth generation. Yeah.
She's got a little bit on me, but I mean, she's my best friend. So we grew up playing club volleyball together. We actually live 5 minutes away from each other back home. We didn't go to the same high school. She actually moved there after I was done out of high school. But our dads are best friends. They play golf together all the time.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, we're super close. She's my roommate, too. She's just awesome. She's a beast. So
that's awesome. Okay, let's go back to your time. You're from Fulshear, Texas. Tell me about your high school experiences. Did you do anything outside of playing sports?
Yeah, so I think when you talk to a lot of college athletes, like it's really hard because your sport takes up all of your time. But I definitely made it a priority to be involved in my community and like be everywhere I could be because that's just super, super important to me. I'm not going to lie, volleyball took up most of my time, but I'm a big family girl. Love spending time with my family, love traveling, love spending time with my 2 French bulldogs that are a mess. But yeah, so kind of backtrack. I lived in Katy for a while. I always say that I'm from Fulshear because that's where I remember a lot more things from. But I moved to Fulshear my freshman year of high school, which of course is a weird jump. I mean, moving schools your freshman year is scary, but it ended up being the best thing for me, and it was a great overall experience. So
tell me about the state championship.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. So we won it my sophomore year. So I had moved out to Fulshear, and at the time, one of my really good friends was living there. Her name was Ellie Ector. She played at LSU. So moved there, and we're like, all right, like we got something special here. Like we could go do something big. And then we kind of had an influx of a couple other players that moved in that I played club volleyball with, and it was just a really cool experience. Like, we didn't get along all the time, I'm not going to lie. Like, that team faced a lot of adversity, but we were really freaking good at volleyball. So it was a great ride, and my sophomore year we won state. My junior year we bumped up a classification to 5A and ended up going back to state. We lost in the final, but still a great ride. And then my senior year, I actually switched positions. I was setting. So I had played libero my entire life. We needed a setter, so I was like, all right, I'll do it.
So you stepped up.
I stepped up.
Was it the first time you'd ever played setter?
Yep. First time I had ever set. Miss 5'6" libero walked in there and was like, all right, we're running a 5-1. So imagine me blocking front row. It was pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a great experience. I mean, Fulshear has become a volleyball powerhouse since my time there, and it's been really cool to see. They went back to state, last year. They're really good. They're kicking. It's really exciting to see what we've kind of built there.
Super cool. Okay, let's take it back even further. Let's go back. When did you first start playing volleyball? Do you remember the moment you decided that was the sport you wanted to play?
Yeah, so it's really funny because I was like diehard soccer player for 7 years. Like that was it. That's all I lived and breathed. Like that was it. And I remember being in junior high and I played on a really high level soccer team. And they had told me, they're like, all right, like you don't get to play any other sport in junior high. And at this point, I'm like in 7th grade, and I'm like, what are we doing here? So they told me that, and I looked at my parents, and I just said, I was like, I want to play everything. I want to experience everything. I'm so young. I've always been a mature kid, but I definitely was very stern on this. And my parents have always said, like, we'll support you in whatever you do. My mom played volleyball, and my dad played basketball. And so at this time, me and my brother were just playing soccer. My parents were like, what's going on? But they were going to support it. So that time came around, and I decided, I was like, all right, I'm done playing club soccer. Like, I want to play everything. So that next year, I played volleyball, I ran track, I played basketball, I played soccer, like I did everything. And then it was quickly after that in 8th grade that I decided that like volleyball was my route that I wanted to go. And I think everyone looked at me and was like, all right, like let's do it, because I was just kind of a freak athlete at the time, could kind of pick up and do whatever I wanted to. Went that route, and then it just kind of took off. I mean, I received my first offer in 8th grade, which is crazy.
Wow.
Because I'm so young at that point, but I think people saw my athleticism and saw that that was a really cool thing and a unique thing. And I also, too, am just a super go-getter. So it was like, whatever I put my mind to, we're going to roll with it. So that was kind of how I chose to go the volleyball route. I ended up playing varsity as a freshman at my first high school that I was at. So I transferred mid-year to Fulshear. So I played a season at Seven Lakes High School. Was a freshman on varsity, had a bunch of big sister seniors to take care of me and show me the ropes, but I earned the jersey, played, and that was a huge moment for me. And then after that, I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. So
how cool. Okay, you mentioned that your mom played volleyball. Did she play in college?
No, she didn't. She just played in high school. She had an opportunity to play in college, but she was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that was neat for her to see you 100%. Pick up that sport. I'm sure she just loved that.
Oh my gosh, she loves it. I mean, she is truly my number one fan. Like, I just love watching her at games because she is so into it. And my favorite thing is we look alike, first off. So we look exactly alike. So everyone knows who my mom is. 2, she's extremely fiery, and you can hear her from across the gym.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And so I get all the time, like after games, people walk up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, like I sat behind your mom today at the game. And I look at them and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what she said. She just gets really into it. And they're like, no, it was so entertaining. Like I couldn't imagine like being in that position. So anyways, but it's been cool because she actually has traveled to a couple of games this season. So traveled to Auburn, traveled to Ole Miss, and she's sporting that maroon and she is just loving it. So she's just my number one fan and she rocks. So
how awesome. Okay, so I'm just curious. So who is Ava Underwood when she's not playing volleyball? Do you have any hobbies?
Okay. Yes and no. So here's a little funny story. So because so much of our time is taken up by volleyball, me and my roommate, Lexi Gwynn, we're like, all right, like we got to find a hobby. This is ridiculous. Like people ask me what my hobby is and I just don't know what to say. So we made a list one day. We're sitting in our kitchen and we're making a list on a piece of paper of like all these things that we're going to try. We're like, okay, we're going to try painting. We're going to try reading. Like we're going to go on walks in the evenings. Like we're like, we have to find something else. And so it was just this whole thing for a while that I thought was really, really funny. But hobby-wise, I just love being outside, like doing anything outside. I am just such an outside girly. Love sitting by a fire, love going on walks, love all of it. But it is hard, like when that question is asked to me, like I feel bad because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have any hobbies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think there are things that I enjoy. Like I'm such, like I said earlier, like family girl.
Right.
Love just like simple things in life, like not trying to overcomplicate it. Love just having good conversations and like stuff like that. So
hanging out with friends, family.
Yeah, 100%. And I love everything sports related, going to sporting events and watching. I mean, like
what other events do you like going to?
Yeah. So I mean, I love watching baseball. I love watching football. I love it all, honestly. Love watching soccer because I used to play. So I just love supporting everybody and supporting all the sports. And I mean, I think like a core like childhood memory is just during the weekends, like sitting with your family on like a Saturday or Sunday and watching college game day or college football. Like, that's just something I've always enjoyed so much. So I would just say, long way of saying my hobbies. I just like the simple things in life.
That's great, Ava. I don't think there's enough people out there who enjoy the simple things in life anymore.
I agree. It's gotten too complicated.
It has.
World's crazy.
Okay, you mentioned the recruitment process earlier for you, and you received your first offer in 8th grade. Tell us about the recruitment process for you, what that was like, and how you first started talking to Texas A&M.
Yeah. So I love this question because it's just like observing my journey and like seeing where I am now. If 10-year-old me saw me sitting here right now with you, like she would freak out. I mean, so kind of when it started, I started playing glove volleyball, had tons of potential, was just this freak athlete on the court. Necessarily didn't have the skill at the moment, but just lots of potential. I've always gotten a lot of compliments and praise for just my court presence and just my leadership abilities and just all of the extra stuff that I bring to the court, which is something that like I value so much because the intangibles are huge. That is just something that you can't really teach. So I've always taken a lot of pride in that. And so at the time when I was being recruited, it was like anything went, basically. I mean, I'm an 8th grader taking college phone calls trying to determine my future, which is horrifying at the time. But I think it helped me grow up a lot. Like getting on the phone with college coaches, it's like an interview. I mean, you're sitting there, you're trying to figure out what's best for you. And I think it helped me grow so much. And I'm so grateful for that experience. I got a lot of attention early on. And then kind of what happened was I had gotten my schools narrowed down of where I wanted to go and what schools I wanted to entertain. And this is kind of by sophomore year of high school. So had narrowed it down. But in my head, I was like, I just want to be an Aggie. I just want to be an Aggie. I want to go to A&M. I want to be close to home. I want all of it. But I think my biggest thing that I challenged myself was, hey, I'm going to go explore and see what else is out there. I don't just want to blindly commit to this and not at least entertain anything else. So I went on visits. I went other places, and there are some really cool places out there, but it's just nothing that compares to here. And I consistently found myself comparing everything to A&M. And that comparison was not even close for me. So sophomore year is when the recruiting rules changed. So they changed it to where you couldn't talk to any schools until your junior year. So my class was right in the middle of this. So it was like we went from talking to school since we were in 8th grade to it then being cut off sophomore year, and then we wouldn't get to talk to them again.
Oh, that's
until
an interesting dynamic.
So weird. And so for me, I was like, okay, like I feel pretty confident. Like I want to make my decision before this rule goes into place. Because basically what would have happened was the dead period would have happened. It would have picked back up. And then it would have been pressures and deadlines from schools of just like, hey, you have to choose in this amount of days or you have to choose by here. And I just didn't want to deal with that. And I was already feeling pretty strongly that I wanted to be an Aggie. So I remember I actually committed with the old coaching staff. Which my time here, it's been a roller coaster for sure. And my freshman year, I grew so much. So I committed my sophomore year and just was so happy about it. And I just knew it was where I wanted to be and had a lot to look forward to, like leading up to being here. So definitely recruitment was crazy. But I mean, I wouldn't have wanted it to happen any other way. So
That's awesome. So you always knew A&M was was home in the back of your mind,
for
in
sure.
your heart.
100%. And I also too, like, I tell people this, because I know for us, if you don't go play pro, like volleyball is temporary. And I knew that being an Aggie, I'd be an Aggie for the rest of my life. And so I made the decision at being a sophomore in high school of just like, where would I be happiest if I wasn't playing volleyball? And that was just such an easy answer for me. And I knew that this was the place that I wanted to be, volleyball aside. Now, volleyball on top of it is really, really cool. Being number 12, playing in front of the 12th man, like that is just unmatched. But just everything aside, I just knew that this was the place for me. So.
And now that you're here and now that you are wearing that number 12 jersey, how does that feel for you?
Oh my gosh.
When you step out on the court?
It's crazy, like so surreal. I remember the first time that like I ran out when I got the libero start and my dad was just sitting up in the stands tearing up because he's like, this is just insane. I mean, I just don't take it for granted. I just know it's something so special and I just think of young me and like I just wouldn't believe where I am now. And so it's just really, really cool to see and I'm just so proud of myself. So
when did you earn that jersey number?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So volleyball, you get to pick it. So it's like if it's open, you can pick it. And so I remember when I was a freshman, number 12 came up because Mallory Talbert left. And so I was like, okay, like number 12 is open. I feel like I would have to take it. But also too, like my number that I've always been, number 4 was open too. So I like texted my parents and I was like, hey, like number 4 is open, but like number 12 is open too. And my parents were like, Ava, like that's not even a question. What are you doing?
You're going to Texas A&M.
You're going to A&M. You're going to wear number 12. So I was like, okay, perfect. But even though like I got to pick because it was available, like I don't take that lightly. Like it's so much more about the play. It's so much more about the leadership and everything that you bring to your team. So I definitely don't take it lightly.
That's awesome. So when you got to Texas A&M, for the first time, student athlete. What were your first impressions of campus being here for the very first time?
Yeah, so I think of course, like I've spent a lot of time here, but I mean, like moving away from home and being a college girl now and like being an athlete that has a lot of high status here. Like at first I was very overwhelmed, but I was like, this is so cool. And again, like it was something like I think you learn more and more about it every day, and you learn how to handle yourself, and you learn that being an athlete at Texas A&M is a really, really big deal, and there's eyes on you all the time, and how you hold yourself is really, really important. So I just love all the connections that I get through doing what I do, and it's just really an amazing experience. And at first it was definitely like a shock to the system because I was like, holy crap, I'm really here. But it's been great. So
what are you studying at Texas A&M?
I'm a marketing major.
You go. Nice.
Marketing with a minor in sports management.
Okay, why'd you pick that route?
Yeah. Okay, so my dad owned an internet marketing business, and he also owned a traditional marketing business. So I've grown up watching him do what he does, and I just have such a high respect of what he does and how his employees love him so much. And he's just a really, really great guy. And he stayed so connected with A&M. I mean, he still goes back and talks at Mays, and I laugh. I keep telling him, I'm like, I'm going to walk into one of my marketing classes one day, and you're going to be sitting up front lecturing me. But so I've always admired him so much for what he does, and I think we're very similar. We have very similar personalities. Like everyone says that we're just very similar, and so I've just admired what he does, and I just kind of wanted to go that route. And also too, like to be completely honest with you, I don't know exactly what I want to do after college. I don't know, but I feel like with marketing I can do a lot. It doesn't really tie you down, and also too, like I told you before this interview, like I like to talk to people, I like to connect with people, and so I feel like that's a really good route for me. And then also too, like the minor in sports management, like I love sport, and I think I couldn't imagine myself getting out of college and just not being in the sports world anymore. So
Right.
I think if I can have the best of both worlds and do marketing in the sports industry, I think I'd be a happy girl. So
Hey, it's a great combination.
for sure, as
Not
you would
speaking
know,
from experience.
as
over
you would
here,
know.
but- Ava, all right. You're talking about the student athlete experience and how it's a big deal to be an athlete here at Texas A&M. I want to talk to you about how you balance the demands of being both a student and an athlete, and how do you keep yourself on track?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve for sure. Because I think, again, that first year as you're a freshman, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm on my own now. Like, I have to manage everything. I got to cook for myself. I got to do my own laundry, which is, again, like sometimes a shock. But it's definitely been a learning curve. How I kind of phrase it to people is I feel like your first 2 years, your freshman and sophomore years, you're learning. You're trying to figure it out. And then by your junior year, you're like, okay, I got it. Like, I understand it now. I got it. I definitely think it's been a lot about being organized. Like, I have had to make sure that my phone calendar is up to date all the time. We talk a lot about filling your cup and doing things that make you happy outside of volleyball and outside of school. So like finding time that I can really do something for me, I think is very, very crucial and important, because you go throughout your week and your day is scheduled minute by minute, and that can get very overwhelming and very stressful, and you have to find a reason of why you do what you do, and finding time for yourself is super, super important. So I think definitely just building out like times in your day where you prioritize yourself, but you also prioritize the things that you have to do.
Yeah.
So that's been huge for me.
Were there any specific resources that you have access to as a student athlete here that really helped you with that transition and continues to help you balance those two demands?
Yeah, my freshman year, a huge thing for me was that we had peer mentors. So we have a group of people who just help kind of like schedule your day, help you through your assignments, what you have coming up. And so every day it's like called Learning Center. And you go during the day and you sit there and you have like a mentor. And they're amazing. Mr. Don has been my peer mentor in the past, Miss Kathy, Miss Bobby. They're just amazing people. They, help us tremendously with just helping schedule things and let us know like when certain assignments are due and stuff like that. But also too, just from like a presence standpoint, like they're just great people to be around, and they're so encouraging, and they're like our number one cheerleaders, and so they've always been amazing. So I had to give them a quick shout out for that question because they're phenomenal. But so that's been a super big help. Also too, like our nutrition center is huge. If we're going to class, if I'm running around and I'm like, holy crap, like I need to eat, I haven't eaten today, just being able to run over there and grab a quick bite to eat has been huge as well. So
yes, the Linda and Dennis Clark Nutrition Center is just phenomenal.
It's beautiful.
What's your favorite part about that facility?
Oh my gosh. One, the fact that we get 3 meals a day is amazing. So, so nice. 2, it is a beautiful building. It is so well done and everything. And also, too, it's cool because, like, all the athletes go there. So, like, that's, like, our social hour. We're so busy all the time that, like, that's when we get to socialize, which is really cool. But, I mean, truly being an athlete at Texas A&M, like, the resources that we get are unreal. And I think it's also very eye-opening to talk to people from other schools because, of course, we have tons of friends from other schools and people who transfer in, and they're just like, we did not have this.
Can you give an example, maybe?
Oh my gosh! So we had 2 girls from Syracuse. They both graduated, but they were just saying, they were like, we just didn't have anything near this. Like, we didn't have the academic resources, we didn't have the nutrition centers. Like, we were basically all on our own. So it's just really like you count your blessings every day because being a student athlete is hard, but also being here. The support from the 12th man, the support from our donors is just amazing. And so it's just really, really special.
What would be your message to those donors and season ticket holders and 12th man, those who come out and support the program? What's your message of gratitude to them? Because I'm sure a lot of them are listening right now.
I mean, I truly can't put it into words exactly, but I'm going to try my best. I mean, the support from the 12th man is just unreal. Like, it is unmatched. I mean, when we travel to other schools in the SEC, like, you truly, truly see about how much support that we have, and it's just amazing. I mean, our donors, like, thank you for letting me be able to play the sport of my dreams here. The little kid who grew up being an Aggie, like, thank you for making that be able to come true. And it truly is just a place like no other, and that's because of the people. That isn't just because of College Station, Texas. That's because of the people who surround this university, and it's just something really, really special. I mean, we say there's a spirit that can never be told, and it's just true. The support and the people in this place are just unreal, and it's, again, something that you're a part of for the rest of your life, and you can see that through our support. I mean, it's not just one thing where you go to A&M for 4 years and you graduate and you never come back or you never see the people that you went to school with again. Like, it's a really, really big connection piece. So big thank you to all of the 12 man.
I could not have said it better myself. And, you know, I feel like several athletes on this podcast have said, and I think you mentioned this earlier, it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision.
For sure.
And just being an Aggie and the connection to this university, it will stay with you. It's ingrained in you for the rest of your life.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'll say I was going to Nashville a couple years ago. Me and my family go there for spring break, and it was during the men's basketball tournament. So I'm sitting on a flight, and it's like I'm sitting in the middle seat. My dad's to my right, and then there's this guy to the left. And I look over, and I see an Aggie ring, and I was like, "Oh, we're about to have a conversation. Here we go." But just turning, like, we had a conversation for a 2-hour flight, and by the end of it, he just told me, he's like, "If you ever need anything, like if you want a job, if you want anything, like, here's my business card. Just let me know." And that's just
Aggies helping Aggies.
Aggies always help Aggies, and that's just something that, like, that doesn't happen anywhere else. It really doesn't. And so I think anytime that we have recruits coming here or transfers coming here, like, I always just tell them, I'm going to try to explain it to you, but you won't understand until you get here.
Yes. All right, Ava, so transitioning to your time as an Aggie student athlete, have you experienced any specific injuries or setbacks, challenges that you faced here?
Yeah, I love this question because I think it often goes untalked about. Coming into college, I had torn my labrum. I had a labrum repair coming into college, which is not ideal at all.
Oh my gosh, did you tear it before? Or?
Yeah, so I tore it before. So my senior year of high school, I had torn my labrum. I got it repaired. So I was going through rehab and, like, trying to get myself ready to come here. And so, I mean, going to college is already a big jump, but dealing with that, especially in the athletic realm, is not ideal. I got recovered and cleared 4 months early so that I could play. And I just had kind of dealt with issues with it, which my shoulder was fully healed. Like, my surgeon did a really, really good job repairing it, and everything looked good. But also, too, like, that just takes a minute to get back, especially with what I do. I mean, diving on the floor is not easy. So that was just a lot to deal with my freshman year. And I had problems my freshman and sophomore year with it. And so honestly, at this point, I've just kind of become numb to it. So that was definitely mentally hard. But I think just from a mental standpoint, it has been the most challenging portion of it all. My freshman year, I played as a freshman, which was big time because that doesn't happen very often. But also, too, like, it's just mentally, like, trying to adjust. And I'm playing with girls 3 and 4 years older than me and trying to mature really quickly. That was a lot. And I think being away from home was a lot. So, but I was proud of myself. Like, there was so much excitement freshman year. Honestly, sophomore year was the hardest year for me. So beginning of sophomore year, I did not have a great preseason, was not playing well. And that was really, really hard because it's like when you give your everything to something and it's not giving what you want in return, it's really,
You're not
really,
seeing the results.
you're not seeing the
Yeah.
results. And I actually had gotten hit in the face at the beginning of preseason, and I didn't say anything about it. I was like, all right, like, I'm fine. It's fine. But lo and behold, I had a concussion, and I was playing with it, which was, again, not great. And I look back and I learned a lot about the experience, and I would never do that again. But because of that, my play was suffering. Like, I was not playing good volleyball. I wasn't putting up the numbers I needed to, and I lost my spot. I wasn't playing at the beginning of my sophomore year, and that was really, really hard. But I had to dig deep in a place that I just didn't know that I had, and I ended up really, really grinding, came out on top, and got my position back, and that was huge. And it taught me so, so much about myself and just about the grit that this sport has and that college athletics, like, you have to be successful. And so I'd say my first 2 years, like, it's just a lot of, like, learning moments. But yeah, so it's a lot. And I think a lot of outsiders have this viewpoint of, like, college athletics is amazing, it's awesome, and you're treated like royalty, and it's just this ideal world. And I think a lot of athletes really struggle. I think it's really, really a tough thing for people to go through. And I think it's not talked about enough. And I remember being a high school athlete. I didn't understand it until I got here. And then my eyes opened, and just the combination of pressure and demand to play well. And, you're balancing everything and you don't have time for yourself. Like, it is a combination that's really, really hard. And it takes a while to learn how to deal with it. So long way of saying, like, I definitely dealt with some struggles my first 2 years. And I mean, this year too, like, there's been a lot of stuff that I've struggled with, but it's just, you got to take everything day by day. But at the end of the day, it's such a blessing to be able to do what we need to do. And I've learned so much about myself because of it.
What keeps you grounded or positive and encouraged when you face challenges or struggles, whether it be on the court or in life?
Yeah, I'm super big in my faith. That's just something that I've always really, really relied on, and I just know that God's got me through it all. And I think that there's been times where, like, I've been closer with God, and there's times where I've drifted apart a little bit, but I know that He's always there. I think definitely since I've gotten to college, like, that's been a huge part of my life and just something that has been so big for my success. Like, I literally credit it all to Him. I wouldn't be able to do it without Him, and I just think that that's my why, and that's why I do what I do. So
good for you. Amen to that. Going back to your injury though, like the concussion, so not the labrum, but the concussion. I actually played volleyball in high school, and I was in a serve receive drill one time where serve receive was happening on both sides of the net. Okay. And I was standing in the setter area location. And I guess something happened with the girl who was serving on that same side of the court as me. She completely missed her serve.
Oh no.
I wasn't even focused on her because we were, like, in play.
Right.
So she was serving to the opposite side of the court to, like, get the ball in motion and play on the opposite side. I was focused on somebody who just passed a ball to me.
Right.
And anyway, I got hit straight on the side of my head. And the same thing happened to me. Like, it hurt in the moment, and I was completely blindsided by it because I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
But it was just direct contact into the side of my head.
Oh, it's horrible.
I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. I can still practice. But the next day, I felt horrible. I had a headache. I didn't realize, it didn't dawn on me until maybe like 2 days later. I was like, I think I might actually have a concussion. And lo and behold, I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did. And I had to sit out, and wait, which is not fun, but there's like a certain amount of time you have to wait. And I was running the clock during practice. I was like, okay, I'm ready to get back on the court. But
yeah, they're not fun.
Yeah.
They are not fun at all. And also too, like you said, like, you just brush it off. Like, I've always been the kid on the court to be like, get like bulldozed. And I'm like, it's okay, I'm fine. But yeah, those are, head injuries are not something to mess around with. And I definitely learned my lesson with that one. But yeah, it wasn't ideal.
Yeah. Well, good for you. You are resilient.
Yes. I tried my best.
You're resilient. Let's talk a little bit about Coach Morrison and what you have learned from him so far.
Yeah. Oh, Jamie. Love Jamie. So I was super pumped when he got this job because I really do think that he can turn Texas A&M into a volleyball powerhouse. And I think that we've been able to see how quickly a change has been made since he's come here. I mean, our volleyball program has already taken a huge turn, which is really, really pleasing to see. And also, too, to see what he's done with the 12th man, his interaction there, I think is huge. And that's something that's hard to find. And I think one of my favorite things about him is he truly does value A&M. He understands that this place is very, very special, and he understands that the 12th man is crucial to our success. So that's one of my favorite things about him. Also, his coaching style, like, he is a trainer. Like, he knows how to structure our practices to get the best out of us, and I think that he teaches the game really, really well. And again, I think it's hard to find. Like, I think some coaches are focused not on that as much, but he really does know what he's doing, and also too with his experience, like, he's proven. So I'm really excited that he's in the college world now, because I think that he's going to do some really, really big things, but I think that he can build something really, really special here.
And it's so exciting to see what he's already helped build so far. I mean, let's just talk about the match against Texas. I mean, record-breaking crowd.
Awesome.
What was that environment like?
Oh my gosh, that was just so awesome. And again, like, for me, like, being an Aggie at heart and growing up wanting to come here, like, me walking out of the tunnel and looking at 9,000 people sitting in Reed, I was like, this is awesome. Truly a dream come true, and our fans showed out. Like, it was amazing. I mean, they even said that we set a state record for, like, a regular season volleyball game, which is crazy. But yeah, that was just truly, like, a crazy moment. And me and Logan looked at each other and we're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But yeah, that was just, and honestly, like, at times, like, doesn't really feel like it happened, but then I have to, like, pinch myself and be like, holy crap, like, that did happen. That was really cool. But that was just, again, dream come true.
How would you describe the team environment or the culture this year of the volleyball program?
Honestly, the best it's been since I've been here. I think in my freshman, sophomore year, like, we definitely went through some struggles, and we had a lot to figure out about our program, about what our identity was. But this year, like, our team is very, very close. We all love each other. We all care about each other. We all know that we all have the same goal. But it's been really, really amazing to see, like, how close that we've gotten. And really, really special, because again, like, when you're going through this experience, like, it's a lot, but going through it together with everyone, like, and us all being each other's number one supporters has been really, really great. So I love this team, and I think that we can do something really special this year.
What would be your message to a young volleyball player who's aspiring to play in college?
Yeah, I just think just don't give up. And I know that sounds like really basic, but I mean, I think that there were definitely times in my career that I was just like, okay, like, I'll play volleyball up until I get ready to go to college, and then I'll just quit volleyball, and then I'll go to A&M, because I didn't think that I could actually do it. Like, it was just an easy thing for me to be like, oh, like, I'll just be done. But then once I started to see that it actually could happen, then I was like, okay, like, this could actually be something.
Had you considered it up until, you received an offer in 8th grade, so young.
Yeah, so it wasn't from A&M in 8th grade, but that was, like, when I started. A&M, I think, was, like, freshman, sophomore year, so, not too long after
but
that.
At that moment when you got the offer, was that when you're like, wait a minute, whoa, we can do this, like, let's do this?
No, I think it definitely was, because I just didn't think I fully realized my potential and, like, what I could be. But I think just for young girls, and also to just, like, not comparing yourself to anyone else. I mean, I was late to the club volleyball game. I was playing soccer. Like, I had no aspiration of playing volleyball, and it's just, you never know where life takes you. So
yeah. Who would you say really poured into you as a young volleyball player, and who would you attribute to your success today?
I have a lot of people, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to say Jen Woods. So she's actually our associate head coach, but I played club for her growing up. So she has just been such a blessing in my life and just my rock, and she has just always believed in me. My 15-0 when we won nationals, I was playing for her. She was my coach then, and she's just one of a kind, truly, and I just know that she always has my back, and so it's truly been a dream come true having her here. I mean, she played here as well, but it's just really, really cool looking over on the sideline and seeing her, because she's just been such a big part of my success, and just, again, just has always believed in me and just been a huge part of, my journey. And I mean, her and her husband discovered me. My tryout at Houston Skyline way back when was quite the experience. I showed up. I didn't sign up for tryouts. I was just showing up at the door, basically begging for a tryout. And Houston Skyline is a very, very well-known club in Houston. And so they're like, all right, like, you can try out. So I'm, like, on the last court. I mean, I am on the last court. I'm still fresh out of soccer. I'm not even really developed as a volleyball player yet. And I had, like, 2 good digs, like 2 solid digs, and Jen's husband walked over, because he was working at Skyline. I mean, he owned Skyline at the time with Jen, and he walked over and looked at the coach on the court and was like, is there anyone here? And she's like, yeah, like, that kid's kind of decent. I was like, okay. So he pulls me up to the top court, and I just, again, a couple good digs, and he pulls me over, and he's like, so, like, what are you? Like, what position are you? And I just looked at him and I was like, honestly, I was like, whatever you want me to be. And that was the beginning of it all. And so, I mean, that was the beginning of me, getting involved in Skyline and just kind of taking everything off from there. So I often look back on that and I'm like, this is crazy to see how far that I've come. But so long way of saying Jen has just been a huge part of all of this for me. And I also too, like, I talked a lot about my parents earlier, which is kind of like the given. I mean, they have just been so supportive through all of this. I mean, my mom and dad have been my number one cheerleader and have always supported me in whatever. And they've just always said, they're like, whatever you want to do, we'll support it. This is your life. You're going to live it. But, we'll be right there with you. So there's just been lots of really amazing support people in my life that, like, I'm just so grateful for. So
that's such a neat story about. I love it how you just told him, whatever you need me to be, I will be that person. I will be the 12th man here ready to contribute, to step into the game.
Yes. At age 14.
At age 14. But also that shows a lot of your character, Ava. Like you said earlier, you're a go-getter, and they probably saw that in you, when you said, I'm just here to give my very best, and I want this so bad that I will literally play whatever position you need
whatever you need.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
All right. So, Ava, to wrap up today, this has been a great conversation. What would you say is your proudest moment at Texas A&M wearing the maroon and white?
I think, honestly, just to start off, like I've said, I don't take any of these moments for granted. I just know that every day is not a guarantee, and the fact that I'm here is just amazing in itself. But I would say, because of the Texas match being here, their first game in the SEC, and just truly looking around and looking at everything that had, gone into building up to that moment from me being an Aggie since day one, and just standing on that court and looking and seeing 9,000 people there was just crazy. I mean, and that was just a very surreal moment. And I think also too, I just had a rough week leading up to that, just some personal stuff, but I just kept persevering through it. And once I got to that moment, I was just like, wow, I'm here, and I just made the most of it, and I thought I played my butt off, and it was just a really, really cool moment.
And then one more question for you. When your time at Texas A&M comes to a close, what do you want to be remembered for here?
Just that I truly made the most of my time here, and that I gave it all that I had, and that I just really embraced this experience for what it was, because this is truly my dream. This has been what I've always wanted, and I just want to walk away and just not have any regrets, and I want to have had lasted an impact on people that they remember. And I don't want it to just be this, that girl that played at A&M a couple years ago. I want it to be somebody that I come back and I connect with people, and, I stay in contact with our donors, and I stay in contact with our fans. I just value this place so much, and I just don't ever want to walk away from it and be like, all right, I'm moving on, because being an Aggie isn't like that. So
right.
I don't know if I fully answered of what I wanted to be remembered for, but I think my biggest thing is I just want to make the most of this experience, and I just want to be remembered as someone who truly embraced this experience and valued it for what it was. So
that's awesome. And then looking forward to your future, where do you see yourself headed in this life?
That's a great question. I don't know, but I know God's got me. So
yes.
Just taking it one day at a time. And I honestly think that's the way to live. I think I've always been such an overthinker, and I just think a lot about things. And I think in the last year, I really matured in just taking things day by day and just realizing that there's a bigger plan in place that I don't have control over, and it'll all just happen how it's supposed to.
Ava Underwood on Answering the Call podcast. Ava, thank you so much again for being here today.
Thank y'all for having me. This was amazing. I loved it.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. A special shout out to our incredible podcast producer, Megan Hoffman, and to 12th Man Productions for their generous use of this studio. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to every donor and season ticket holder for always answering the call through loyal support of Texas A&M athletics and our student athletes. We will be back soon with more content. Thanks, and gig 'em.